Yeah, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Sakima's Ridge Homestead. Today's February 5th, 2018. In the past week or week and a half or so, we have had Winter Storm Harper dump about 10 inches of snow on the homestead. We've had a polar vortex following that put our temperatures at or below zero for about 3 days, along with wind chills of right around -30. And yesterday and the day before, it was in the 50s. Most of the snow is melted. We've got a lot of ice patches everywhere where the snow had been packed down. So right now the yard's either ice or mud, which is fantastic. And yesterday I saw a lot of bees out flying around. So I did take a quick look at the hives, and looks like we still have 2 left, and we may have lost 3. So let's take a drive out there where the hives are at and get into a couple of the hives that I think are probably lost, and we'll see what we can find in those hives. Hello, and welcome to our channel. We're glad you're here. Okay, this is out in our front bee yard, or our west bee yard. It's out by the pasture. This hive is still alive. This was the swarm we caught out in the pasture last year, and this hive is still alive. This was the nuke we bought off of JC's Bees. Both these hives seem to be doing pretty good. They were just out like crazy yesterday, and when I first got up here, there was a bee crawling back inside this hive. It's about 42 degrees today, so I don't expect them to be out much at all, as much as they were out yesterday. But when I got up here, this feeder jar had been knocked on the ground, so I'm not sure what did that, if maybe Sakima was up here, or if a skunk or something was trying to get in there. But that was on the ground, and there were a lot of dead bees inside the feeder, which I suppose is normal for this time of year. But like I said, those 2 are still alive. This one here on the end is dead. Now this one doesn't surprise me, because this was 2 really weak splits that last fall I combined to try to give them any chance at all of survival. So the fact that I lost this hive is really not a big surprise, because it was very weak to start with. So we'll take a quick look inside of that, and then we'll move to the back bee yard. You pull the top off of here. As you can see, they had plenty of sugar and pollen patties, so they didn't necessarily starve. I've got some dead bees across the front here, and I do see right here in the middle a very small cluster. In fact, there was the queen right there. But if this was all the bees that were in here, I mean, there's just a couple bees on that frame. This was up against these ones here. So there may have only been, about a softball size cluster here. And there's a few in the comb over here. And there's absolutely no honey stores left at all in here. So all they had was that sugar, and they were definitely right below the sugar. But yeah, this box is just light as a feather. And there's the little bit of cluster that fell down when I pulled the frames out. So if that's all the bees that were in here, like I said, it's no wonder that this hive was lost. So we'll move this hive out of here. There's quite a few dead ones there in the bottom. So we'll move this hive out, and we'll go back to the back bee yard and check the 2 hives back there. As I was getting ready to leave here, just from me messing around, you can see there's some bees checking out what's going on in that hive, and also a few checking out what was going on in that hive. So these 2 hives here are both definitely still alive. Well, here's the 2 hives in the back or east bee yard. It's back in the woods. This is it for this bee yard back here. When I haul these hives out of here, we'll take the hive stand and cement pieces out of here as well and move them up front. I tried this experiment back here in the woods. You can kind of see this is, back in. It's not deep in the woods. The pasture's right over there, in the old sailboat. but it is well shaded back here, and I don't know if that has something to do with losing the bees back here or not. I think last year our surviving hive was back here. This year we've lost them both. So let's take a quick gander inside of these and see if we can see anything going on. Okay, we'll do this taller hive first. Now I checked these the other day. This hive, the vent board underneath had been pulled out almost all the way. I assume a skunk or something must have done that. That may have been what got this hive, was having the screen board wide open underneath it. But as you can see, they definitely still had sugar and pollen patty, so they didn't necessarily starve from that. There's some weight to this box. Boy, they really got this propylized in here good. You can see there is honey on the back half of these frames, so they definitely had food. So unless they couldn't get to it for some reason, they definitely didn't starve. Oh, this box is even heavier than that one. I can see down in there's quite a bit of honey. And this box is heavy. I mean, that frame there is almost all honey, both sides. So my speculation on this hive is they were honey bound. They had nowhere to cluster. You can see they're all dead down there on the bottom. So I think this hive just froze to death because they couldn't cluster. Because by golly, they had some honey. So definitely wasn't a starvation issue here. It was a lack of cluster, because it is full of honey. So that explains why we lost this one. Okay, this one again has got plenty of pollen and sugar, although I do see some mouse droppings in this one. Not a lot, but there are a few mouse droppings. I don't recall seeing those the other day when I was in here, so that must be recent. A little bit of honey there, a little bit of honey there, actually some brood there. This frame's the same, it's got honey in the back, so they definitely had some honey in here. There's a couple small little clusters of bees here and there, but nothing major. Got a lot of dead bees across the front. And these frames here are pretty empty. So they definitely had room to cluster. And that's a complete empty frame. Some old pollen here. That one's also completely empty. So this one kind of puzzles me, because they definitely had plenty of room to cluster, but I don't see any signs of a cluster. Once again, there's just a bunch of dead bees down at the bottom. There's no mouse nest in here, which is good. But yeah, this one's a puzzler. There's multiple frames of old brood comb that are just empty, and all the bees are dead at the bottom. No signs of a cluster anywhere. So this one's a mystery. The other two hives, I can understand why I lost them. One just had no bees in it, and that other one over there had no room to cluster. But this one's a mystery to me. Plenty of bees in here, plenty of food, plenty of room to cluster, but just all dead. Well, once I got everything cleaned up back here to take these dead hives up to the garage, I wanted to get all the dead bees out and kind of clean them up a little bit. A little further investigation on that mystery hive. There were definitely not as many bees in the bottom of that dead as I think there should have been. So it's possible that hive might have been queenless. I did requeen that one. I don't remember when it was, probably late July, early August, because that was that really aggressive hive we had. So I took the queen out and introduced the new queen. Either she didn't make it, or maybe they didn't accept her. I tried checking later and everything seemed to be okay, but I may have missed something. So it's quite possible that hive might have been queenless, and that's what took it out. It's just speculation, but as many bees as were in that hive earlier in the year, as aggressive as they were, I would think there'd have been a lot more dead bees at the bottom of that thing than there were. So who knows? Well, so there's where we're at with our bees this year. We still have 2 good hives. We've lost 3. There's plenty of honey in that one, so we'll probably go and extract that honey. I may look into putting a frame or 2 in those surviving hives so they have some honey. But I don't want to get into them today because it's a little chilly. We should have another warm day here coming up. I'll probably get in those 2 surviving hives, make sure they've got stores, give them food and or some of this honey if I need to. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you can learn from my mistakes. I should have looked at this other hive and gave them some empty comb so they had room to cluster. Really don't have, well, I don't want to say I don't have time. I do have time to get in, but it seems either the weather or something else is going on, so I don't get in the hives as often as I should, and I just kind of assume, they'll be okay. Obviously that was a wrong assumption to make. So I need to be more vigilant on these 2 hives that I do have that survived. Any questions or comments, please put them down below. Please subscribe. Appreciate a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.